Men, have you ever felt like there's something off about the perfect Sigma female, something others just don't seem to notice? This video's for you. We're pulling back the curtain on the subtle flaws, the hidden edges, and the quiet cracks that even the most self-sufficient women can't hide from a man who's paying attention. Sigma females. They move differently. They don't chase attention. They don't play by anyone's rules. They walk through life with this calm confidence that says, "I've got me." And because of that, they stand out. But here's the twist. Men notice more than Sigma females realize. Not the obvious things like their independence or their beauty. I'm talking about the unspoken stuff. The habits, the walls, the quiet signals that tell a different story underneath all that control. People think Sigma females are flawless, cold, mysterious, untouchable. But that's the thing. When you live behind a wall, people start guessing what's inside. And sometimes men notice the things Sigma females can't see about themselves. Not because they're judging, but because they're looking deeper. So, here are 9 bad things Sigma females have no idea men notice about them, and don't get offended cause I said bad things. If you are a Sigma female, you should know why I said bad things. Okay, let's get started, queens. 1. The "I don't need anyone" energy. It's powerful, magnetic, and unmistakably Sigma. It's that quiet confidence that says, "I can handle it." She walks into a room and everyone can feel it. The self-assurance, the independence, the control. She doesn't rely on validation. She doesn't beg for attention. She builds her world, brick by brick, on her own terms. And while that's one of her greatest strengths, it's also one of the most misunderstood parts of who she is. See, when a Sigma female moves through life like she doesn't need anyone, people start believing her, especially men. At first, it's attractive. Men admire that strength. They love the way she doesn't cling, doesn't chase, doesn't play games. She's not trying to impress anyone, and that's exactly what makes her impressive. But as time goes on, that same energy starts to build a wall between her and the people who actually care. The man who wants to love her begins to question his place in her world. He sees her doing everything alone, handling work, emotions, life, and starts to wonder, where do I fit in? He's not intimidated by her power. He's confused by her distance. He doesn't want to take her freedom. He just wants to be part of her story. But the Sigma female in her mind thinks depending on someone makes her weak. She's been burned before, abandoned before, disappointed before. So she taught herself to never need anyone again, to never ask, to never expect. She tells herself, if I do it all alone, no one can fail me. And while that mindset protects her, it also isolates her. Because the truth is, people, especially men who care, don't want to be shut out. They want to be let in. They want to feel trusted, valued, needed, even in small ways. But when a Sigma woman keeps saying, "I'm fine," when she's clearly exhausted, men see it. When she brushes off kindness, avoids help, or shrugs at affection, men feel it. It's not that she doesn't deserve her independence, it's that she doesn't realize her independence can sometimes look like rejection. A man who genuinely cares will respect her space, but over time, he'll start to pull back too. Not because he's weak, but because he feels unnecessary. And no one, no matter how confident, likes to feel replaceable. The "I don't need anyone" energy can easily be misread as "I don't want anyone." But that's not the truth. Deep down, the Sigma female does want connection. She just wants it on honest terms. No control games, no dependency, just respect, balance, partnership. What she doesn't see is that strength doesn't mean isolation. Real strength is knowing when to let someone hold you without losing yourself. And when a Sigma female learns that letting someone in isn't weakness but trust, she becomes even more powerful. Because now her independence isn't armor, it's choice. And that shift changes everything. That's what men notice. Not her walls, not her perfection, but her ability to finally say, "I can do it alone, but I choose not to." 2. The emotional distance. It's the quiet wall every Sigma female builds without even realizing it's there. She doesn't mean to come off cold. She's not trying to push people away. She's just learned that emotions are dangerous when left in the wrong hands. So instead of spilling her heart, she holds it tight. She stays calm, collected, and always in control, even when her world is shaking. To most people, that's impressive. To men, it's confusing, because he can feel it. Something's missing. The connection feels one-sided, like she's there, but not really there. He's talking, but her eyes are miles away. He's opening up, but she's giving him that soft smile that says, "I hear you," while secretly thinking, "Don't get too close." See, Sigma females don't do emotional chaos. They've seen too many people lose themselves in love, begging for attention, drowning in drama. So they promise themselves they'll never be that girl, never needy, never desperate, never too emotional. But what she doesn't realize is that by building those walls, she's also keeping out the people who actually want to understand her. Men notice that. They notice how she listens, but never shares. How she comforts, but never confides. How she seems fine, even when she's clearly fighting something inside. At first, it feels mysterious. It pulls him in. But after a while, that distance starts to hurt. He wants to be there for her. He wants to know what she's feeling. But she gives him nothing, just silence and surface-level peace. So he starts to question himself. Is she bored of me? Did I say something wrong? Is she just not into this? What he doesn't know is that she's not avoiding him. She's protecting herself. Because for a Sigma female, vulnerability feels like surrender. And surrender means risk. And risk means pain. So she stays strong, even when it's lonely. She hides her emotions behind logic, sarcasm, or work. She tells herself she's fine, even when she's exhausted from being so composed all the time. But the truth? Emotional distance doesn't equal strength. It equals fear. Fear of losing control, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being seen and rejected. And men, the ones who care, can feel that fear even when she never speaks it out loud. They don't need words to see it. It's in her body language, her tone, her pauses. They see through the mask. They know she's feeling everything she won't admit. But they also know they can't fix it for her. The only person who can break that distance is her. And when she finally lets someone see her emotions, raw, unfiltered, unplanned, it changes the dynamic. Because now it's not just attraction, it's connection, it's trust, it's real. And that's when the Sigma female truly becomes unforgettable. Not when she's perfect, not when she's composed, but when she finally lets her guard drop and says, "Yeah, this matters to me." That's what men notice, the moment her strength turns human. 3. The control. It's the heartbeat of every Sigma female's world. She thrives on it. She plans her days, her goals, her emotions, her space. Everything she does has intention. Nothing is random. Nothing is careless. She likes to know what's coming, how it's going to happen, and how she'll handle it. To her, control isn't about ego. It's about survival. It's the armor she built after too many disappointments, too many times where trusting someone else led to chaos. So now she doesn't wait for anyone to take charge. She takes the wheel herself, and it's impressive. People around her admire how capable she is, how she can hold everything together without flinching. Men notice it too. They see her leadership, her focus, her discipline. They respect it. But over time, that same control that makes her magnetic can start to feel like a locked door. Because when everything has to go her way, there's no room for anyone else's way. The man who cares about her starts to feel like he's walking on eggshells. Not because she's demanding, but because she doesn't need his input. He offers to help, she says, "I got it." He tries to surprise her, she says, "You didn't have to." He tries to plan something special, and she subtly adjusts it to fit her comfort zone. She doesn't mean to shut him out. She's just wired to lead. But to a man who wants to share a life with her, it can start to feel like there's no space left to build together. He sees how she's always 2 steps ahead, how she fixes problems before they even reach him, and part of him loves it. But another part feels useless, like she doesn't trust him enough to handle anything. That's the side of control Sigma females rarely see. They think their independence makes them easier to love. Less pressure, less drama, less need. But in reality, it sometimes makes the people around them feel unneeded, unseen, or worse, unwanted. Because love isn't about who can handle more, it's about sharing the load, even when you don't have to. And Sigma females struggle with that. Letting go feels like losing power. But the truth is, control doesn't protect her from pain, it just keeps her from connection. Because when everything has to be perfect, spontaneous moments die. When she always leads, she never learns what it feels like to be led with care. And men, the good ones, they notice. They see her working so hard to hold it all together. They see her trying to keep things smooth, predictable, safe. But what they want isn't perfection. It's presence. They want her to breathe, to trust, to let things unfold without needing to script them. Because that's where real love happens, in the mess, not the plan. When a Sigma female learns to share control, she doesn't lose strength, she gains freedom. And men notice that shift instantly, the moment she stops managing love and starts feeling it. Wait, pause for a sec. Sigma females, do you ever catch yourself doing this without realizing it? Hit that like button if you've noticed it in yourself, drop a comment with your experience, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more insights. All right, moving on. 4. The silence. It's her weapon and her shield. The Sigma female doesn't raise her voice when she's hurt, doesn't beg for attention, doesn't chase closure. She just goes quiet. That silence, though, it speaks louder than any argument ever could. When she's upset, she doesn't explode. She withdraws. She'll smile, act calm, maybe say, "It's fine," but deep down, she's already gone. She disappears into her own head, trying to solve everything alone, because that's what she's always done. To her, silence means strength. It means control, composure, self-respect. She believes walking away quietly is more powerful than screaming to be understood. And she's not wrong, but what she doesn't see is how that silence feels to the people who care about her. Men notice it. They notice how she shuts down when something hurts her. They notice how she changes the subject when things get emotional. They notice how she keeps everything bottled up until the connection slowly fades. To them, her silence feels like distance, like rejection, like she's slowly slipping away. He asks what's wrong. She says, "Nothing." He tries to comfort her. She smiles and says, "I'm good." But her energy tells a different story. It's cold, it's guarded, it's unreadable. And that drives him crazy. Not because he wants drama, but because he wants truth. He wants to know what she's feeling. He wants to fix it, to help, to understand. But her silence builds a wall he can't climb. And after a while, that silence becomes a language he's too tired to learn. What she doesn't realize is that her quiet withdrawal doesn't make her strong. It makes her untouchable. It turns love into guessing games and emotions into puzzles no one can solve. The Sigma female sees silence as peace, but to the man who loves her, it feels like punishment. He starts questioning himself. Did he say something wrong? Did he cross a line? Did she stop caring? But she's not punishing him. She's protecting herself. She's scared that if she opens up, she'll lose control. She's scared that if she speaks her truth, it'll be used against her later. So she stays quiet, convincing herself it's better this way. But that's the thing. Communication isn't weakness. Vulnerability doesn't mean surrender. Sometimes letting someone see your storm is what makes them stay. Men notice that too. They notice the way her silence says, "I don't trust you enough to share my pain." And deep down, that breaks them more than anger ever could. Because anger at least shows emotion, silence shows detachment. And when she finally does speak, when she finally says what's been sitting heavy in her chest, it's like breathing again, for both of them. That's when he sees her not as the quiet mystery, but as the woman who finally let him in. The silence may protect her, but when she learns to replace it with honesty, she becomes unstoppable. Because real power isn't saying nothing, it's saying what matters. 5. The Perfection Act. It's the silent performance Sigma females master better than anyone. On the outside, everything looks flawless. The posture, the tone, the calm eyes that never give too much away. She handles stress like it's nothing, solves problems without complaining, and never lets the world see her crack. It's not vanity, it's discipline. She's trained herself to stay composed no matter what, because somewhere in her past she learned that showing pain gives people power. So now she wears perfection like armor, always collected, always capable, always in control. But here's the thing, men notice when that perfection starts to look a little too polished. They see the tired eyes behind the confidence. They see how she says, "I'm fine," a little too fast. They catch the way her smile tightens when something stings. To most people, she looks unbothered. But to a man who's paying attention, she looks like she's fighting invisible battles and pretending they don't exist. And that's the part that gets him, because he doesn't fall for the image, he falls for the humanity she hides under it. The problem is, she's addicted to appearing unbreakable. She doesn't ask for help. She doesn't admit when she's struggling. She'd rather fall apart alone in the dark than let someone see her vulnerable. To her, vulnerability feels like weakness, and weakness means losing respect. So she keeps playing the part, the woman who never loses, never cries, never needs saving. But men, especially the ones who truly care, see through it. They notice how hard she works to hold it all together. They notice how she apologizes for things that aren't her fault, how she keeps busy to avoid feeling, how she masks exhaustion with sarcasm. They see her perfection isn't confidence, it's pressure, and it breaks their hearts because they want to be there, but she won't let them. She thinks perfection protects her, but it actually isolates her. No one can reach her if she's always pretending she's okay. No one can love someone who never shows where they can fit. The truth is, real strength doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being real. From saying, "Yeah, I'm strong, but today's hard." Men notice that moment more than anything, the moment she finally drops the act and lets her guard slip. When she sighs instead of smiles. When she admits she's tired. When she lets the softness show. That's when she becomes unforgettable. Because perfection may attract admiration, but imperfection builds connection. It's not her flawless image that makes her magnetic. It's the rare glimpse of her truth that pulls people in. So the perfection act, as powerful as it looks, is also her biggest cage. And when she finally stops performing, when she lets her truth breathe, everything changes. Men stop seeing the idea of her and start seeing her, and that's where real connection begins, not in perfection, but in the beautiful mess beneath it. 6. The soft side she hides. It's the quietest part of her, but it's the most beautiful. The Sigma female doesn't show it often. She's used to being seen as strong, composed, impossible to shake. But underneath all that calm, there's a softness she protects with everything she's got. It's not weakness. It's her heart, raw and real. She's kind in ways people don't notice. She remembers small details, checks in without making it obvious, and helps others even when no one's watching. She feels deeply, but she hides it behind logic, humor, or silence, because the world has taught her that softness gets taken for granted. She's been in situations where she gave too much and got too little back. She's loved hard and been met with indifference. She's opened up once and watched people use her honesty as leverage. So now she plays it safe. She acts like she doesn't care, even when she cares too much. And men, especially the ones who really look, notice that duality. They see how her words are calm, but her eyes give away warmth. They see how she pretends to be distant, but still remembers the things that matter. They notice how she hides her affection in small, careful gestures. A text when you least expect it. A word of encouragement that comes just when you need it most. Her softness isn't loud. It's subtle, intentional, hidden in the in-between moments. But here's what she doesn't realize. That quiet compassion is what makes her unforgettable. Men don't fall for her independence alone. They fall for the way she loves without showing it off. The way she builds safety through her presence, not her words. The way she makes people feel understood without ever saying, "I get it." Still, the Sigma female fights this softness like it's an enemy. She convinces herself that if she stays strong and detached, no one can use her heart against her. But that same shield also keeps love out. Because love, real love, isn't born from perfection. It's born from the cracks, from the moments she lets herself care a little too much. Men notice how she tries to bury her tenderness under that cool, composed image. They see how her softness slips out in the way she laughs, the way she listens, the way she goes quiet when something touches her soul. And the truth is, that's what draws them in. That contradiction, the mix of power and grace, strength and sensitivity. It's magnetic. It's real. What she calls weakness is actually her greatest power. Because that softness, when it finally shows, breaks down walls faster than confidence ever could. It's what turns admiration into connection, attraction into trust. And when she finally embraces that part of herself, the caring, loving, deeply human side, she becomes unstoppable. Men don't just see a Sigma female anymore. They see a woman who's whole, strong, soft, fearless, and finally unafraid to show her heart. Okay, quick check. Men, have you noticed this too? Sigma females, can you relate? Comment below. Like if this hits home, and don't forget to subscribe because the next points get even more interesting. Let's keep going. 7. The overthinking. It's the silent storm inside every Sigma female's mind. On the outside she's calm, composed, completely unbothered. But inside, it's constant noise. Every word, every look, every tiny shift in energy gets analyzed. She doesn't do it to be dramatic. She does it because her brain never stops. She's always reading between the lines, questioning motives, replaying conversations. It's like she's wired to find meaning in everything, even when there isn't any. She's strong, but her mind is her own battlefield. She'll act cool after a text goes unanswered, but she's already created 10 different scenarios in her head. Did she say too much? Did she come off cold? Did she care too little or too much? She'll never admit it, but that overthinking eats at her. And men notice. They see how she pauses before responding, how she over-explains things that don't need explaining, how she second-guesses compliments. They see the way she hesitates before opening up, the way her confidence flickers for half a second when something feels uncertain. To most people, she looks perfectly steady. But a man who's paying attention can tell she's fighting invisible doubts she'll never speak about. The Sigma female doesn't trust easily. Not others, not herself, not the process. She's been let down too many times to just go with the flow. So now she tries to control outcomes by thinking through every possible angle. It's her way of protecting herself, but it also traps her, because instead of living in the moment, she lives in the what if. What if it ends? What if he leaves? What if she lets her guard down and it all falls apart again? That constant over-analysis makes her guarded even when she wants to be open. Men notice that. They notice how she hesitates before believing someone's intentions, how she questions kindness like it's a trick, how she struggles to fully relax around people who care, and they wish she could see what they see, that she doesn't have to earn peace by solving everything, that she doesn't have to think her way through love. Sometimes it's enough to just be, but the Sigma female doesn't do just be. She plans, she measures, she calculates. It's what keeps her sharp, but also what keeps her lonely. Because love doesn't grow in logic, it grows in trust. And her mind rarely lets her rest long enough to feel that. Men who care try to reassure her, but words rarely work. She needs proof, consistency, calm energy that quiets the noise in her head. When she finds that, her overthinking softens, her guard drops, and for once, she breathes. She realizes she doesn't have to analyze every move to stay safe. Sometimes it's okay to just feel. And when she reaches that point, when she finally stops overthinking and starts trusting, she becomes unstoppable. Men notice that shift. The way her calm finally feels peaceful, not forced. It's not that her mind stops, it's that her heart finally gets to speak louder. 8. The independence that feels like distance. It's one of the Sigma female's most misunderstood traits. She wears her freedom like a badge of honor. She moves through life with purpose, doing things on her own terms, answering to no one. It's empowering. It's magnetic. People admire how she doesn't depend on anyone, how she handles business, emotions, and goals all by herself. But what she doesn't see is that her independence sometimes builds invisible walls. Men notice that. They see how she doesn't need help, how she rarely asks for advice, how she treats affection like an optional extra. At first, it's attractive. This woman who doesn't chase, doesn't cling, doesn't beg for attention. She's her own world, and that's what draws him in. But after a while, that same energy that pulled him close starts to make him feel far away. He starts to wonder if there's any space for him in her life. She's so self-sufficient that he feels like a guest, not a partner. She doesn't mean it that way, but her independence can look like emotional distance. He wants to be there for her, but she doesn't give him a way in. Every time he offers support, she says, "I've got it." Every time he tries to connect deeper, she changes the subject. Every time he tries to love her harder, she pulls back just a little. Not to hurt him, but to protect herself. Because to a Sigma female, relying on someone feels risky. She's seen what happens when people become dependent, how they lose themselves, how they get disappointed, how it all falls apart when things go wrong. So she swore never to let that happen. She built a life that doesn't need anyone, not realizing that independence without openness turns love into observation. He's there, watching her shine, but he can't touch the light. And that hurts him, not because he wants control, but because he wants connection. He wants to matter, to contribute, to feel trusted. Men notice that contrast. The woman who's warm but unreachable, kind but untouchable, loving but always slightly out of reach. They admire her strength but miss her closeness. The truth is, no man wants to compete with a woman's independence. He just wants to be allowed to stand beside it. The Sigma female doesn't have to give up her freedom to let someone in. She just has to make space for partnership. Because love isn't about losing yourself, it's about expanding yourself. When she learns that letting someone care doesn't erase her power, it amplifies it. Her independence becomes connection, not separation. And men feel that shift. They notice when she finally lets someone see behind her walls, when she trusts them enough to say, "Yeah, I can do this alone, but I want you here." That's when everything changes. Her independence stops being lonely and starts being love in its purest form. Two strong souls standing side by side, not one walking ahead alone. Hold up. This one's a biggie. Sigma females, do you see this in your own life? Men, did you pick up on it? Smash that like button, tell us in the comments, and subscribe if you want the last point. It's a subtle one that everyone notices but almost no one talks about. Now, let's dive into the final point. 9. The fear of being seen. It's the deepest layer of the Sigma female, the one she rarely admits even to herself. She looks fearless to the world. She walks tall, speaks with clarity, and never seems shaken by opinions. But underneath that calm exterior lives a quiet fear, a fear of being truly seen. Not the curated version she shows to everyone, but the raw, messy, emotional version she keeps locked away. To her, being seen feels dangerous. It means being known. And being known means being judged, misunderstood, or worse, abandoned. So she stays guarded. She shares just enough to seem open, but never enough to be vulnerable. She laughs off compliments, dodges deep questions, and hides pain behind perfectly timed smiles. Men notice that. They notice how she keeps people at arm's length, how she opens up in pieces but never fully. They see how her eyes soften when something hits close to home, but how quickly she blinks it away. They can tell there's more beneath the surface, a whole world of emotion she won't let anyone touch, and that mystery pulls them in. But it also breaks them a little, because no matter how close they get, there's always one last wall they can't climb. The Sigma female doesn't do this out of arrogance. She does it because she's been seen before, really seen, and it didn't end well. Maybe someone took her honesty and twisted it. Maybe she loved too deeply once and got hurt in return, so now she hides. She tells herself she's just private, but the truth is, she's scared of being exposed, because being seen means losing control, and control is her safety net. She worries that if someone saw all of her, the doubts, the insecurities, the soft, unfiltered chaos, they'd walk away. What she doesn't realize is that being seen is what people crave most. Men don't want her perfection. They want her truth. They want to know what makes her laugh, what keeps her up at night, what she hides behind that calm face. They want to see her when she's not composed, not strong, not performing. Because that's when connection becomes real. Men notice the way she hides her vulnerability under logic. They see the way she over-explains her emotions instead of just feeling them. They know she's not cold, she's scared. And the irony is that fear of being seen is the very thing that makes her captivating. The moment she lets someone in, even a little, it changes everything. The power isn't in staying hidden, it's in being brave enough to show up fully, flaws and all. When she finally drops the mask, when she lets someone witness her truth without filters, she becomes unforgettable. Men don't fall for the armor. They fall for the courage beneath it. Because being seen doesn't make her weaker, it makes her real. And real is where love begins. Men find Sigma females so fascinating not because they're perfect. It's not about flawless looks, flawless behavior, or flawless decisions. It's about something deeper. Something more intriguing. Men are drawn to the complexity, the unpredictability, the layers that make Sigma females fully human, those little imperfections that Sigma females sometimes don't notice themselves. Those are the exact details that spark curiosity and fascination. It's the way she handles situations differently, the way she refuses to conform to the usual expectations, the way she quietly asserts her independence. It's not always intentional, but men pick up on it. They see her challenging traditional norms, breaking the usual rules of relationships and gender roles. She doesn't do what's expected just to fit in or to be liked. She does what feels authentic, what aligns with her values, what honors her own independence. And that kind of authenticity, it's magnetic, it's rare, and it's powerful. Those subtle bad things, the quirks, the hesitations, the moments of quiet judgment, the tiny contradictions in behavior, men notice them, and they add depth. They make her more relatable, more human, more alive. Perfection is boring. Sigma females are anything but boring. Their flaws, their unique ways of handling life, their unapologetic individuality, all of that is what makes them unforgettable. Men don't want perfect, they want real, and Sigma females deliver that in spades. So yeah, Sigma females are strong, independent, mysterious, and yes, flawed. And that's exactly what makes them special. Strength doesn't erase vulnerability, independence doesn't erase humanity, and mystery doesn't erase authenticity. Men notice these nuances, and it's not about judgment. They're not keeping score. They're intrigued. They're captivated by the depth, by the layers, by the subtle details that make Sigma females who they are. Those small imperfections, the ways she deviates from what people expect, the little human moments she sometimes tries to hide, they make her more magnetic, more captivating, more unforgettable. It's a quiet power, one that doesn't need to be announced, and one that men can sense immediately. Those imperfections are not weaknesses, they're part of the energy that draws people in. So, Sigma females or men watching, what did you notice first? Did one of those nuances resonate with you? Did something about her behavior, her independence, or her subtle quirks stand out? Share your experiences in the comments. Let us know what you've noticed, what you've learned, or what surprised you. And stick around for the next video where we're going even deeper, breaking down the hidden relationship dynamics Sigma females use without even knowing it. There are layers to explore, patterns to recognize, and insights that can change how you understand these women. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. There's more to uncover, more to notice, and more to appreciate. Stay tuned, stay curious, and stay ready to see Sigma females in a way most people never do.